I'm particularly excited about the entrepreneurs we're featuring today on Startups because they're breaking ground in Nigeria's healthcare sector. Let's first visit the Maryland factory of August Secrets to learn all about a child nutrition company that's helping mothers solve an age-long problem.
A lot of families are not creative about making African foods in ways that children would really love. So when a child starts, eating, the only thing we give to babies is just pap. And pap is just basically grain. Sometimes some people add crayfish and fish, some add soya, and that is it. And a child eats that for a whole 6 months. When there are amazing food. But then we have carrots, we have orange fresh sweet potatoes, we have vitamin A corn here in Nigeria, here in Africa, but we still ship tons of those, foods like this that have been preserved, into the country. And, August Secrets has come to, really just expose a lot of families to the opportunities that lie in feeding their children more affordable, more nutritious foods that are close to the earth, encourage our farmers to produce all those foods that are wasting away on our farmland. My name is Tori Nonigbanjo. I'm the founder of August Secrets.
25% of parents report that their toddlers refuse to take in food, sometimes for as long as 7 days. Toyin Onigbanjo was one of them. Her son, Jaden, was a picky eater, but he only began to change when she changed the type of food on his plate.
When my son wasn't eating, between 2014 and 2015, I started trying out different recipes for him. He refused all of the foreign cereals that I bought. I was so worried that, I had to go back to work. I work as a journalist. I need to meet my targets. I need to ensure that I do what I had to do at work. So my productivity was really, on a low because it was really getting at me. So when I started out making the food, I didn't know that 1,000,001 other African mothers were having the same problems as me. So when everyone watched me try out these recipes for Jaden, I got a huge demand to start making the cereals for them, and that was how August Secrets started. I used to support moms, share my breastfeeding journey, share everything about exclusive breastfeeding, share everything about how busy moms can cope with feeding their children, and that was how August Secrets started. And then we started making Jaden's cereals for moms who were requesting for it.
But why did her child, like many others, refuse the conventional meal options for children?
A lot of families are not creative about making African foods in ways that children would really love. So when a child starts, eating, the only thing we give to babies is just pap. And pap is just basically grain. Sometimes some people add crayfish and fish, some add soya, and that is it. And a child eats that for a whole 6 months. When there are amazing food. But then we have carrots, we have orange fresh sweet potatoes, we have vitamin A corn here in Nigeria, here in Africa, but we still ship, tons of those, foods like this that have been preserved, into the country. And, August Secrets has come to, really just expose a lot of families to the opportunities that lie in feeding their children more affordable, more nutritious foods that are close to the earth, encourage our farmers to produce all those foods that are wasting away on our farmland.
Operating from 2 facilities in Lagos, August Secrets produces tasty and healthy meals for kids using homegrown vegetables, fruits, and grains. Their products and recipes is also helping to provide nutrition for kids in their first 1,000 days.
If you find a mom whose child isn't eating, it's not fun at all. So what we try to do is to make everything all fun. We work extra hard to make sure that these foods are not just delicious and nutritious for the children, they are also fun for them to eat. So we can have egusi patties, we can have, veggie beans pancakes as against, come and take this pap, come and take this cornflakes, and that's it. We make this nutritious food attractive to the children and also easy for the mothers to make. What would make us truly fulfilled is if the rate of malnutrition is reduced and if lots more families understand the power of behavioral change communication in how we make food for our children and our families. It's a different thing when you just buy anything you see, and when you just pick up a product and check and understand what impact this food has on you, even for adults as well. You don't want to keep eating foods that will not do your body good. You want to eat fruits, you want to eat vegetables, you want to eat foods that are really good for you. So as much as possible, foods that are not too processed, foods that are really good for you. So for me, that's our number one achievement. And also, I'm really very happy when I see children who are grown now who used to eat August Secret, starting from 3 years ago when we started.
But mothers and children are not the only benefactors of her innovation. Farmers too have begun to have a higher demand for certain crops, and that in turn creates more jobs and cash flow in the economy.
We get our raw materials from local farmers. Everything is completely local. When I started out, it used to be just at the market, or just go get some grain, some potatoes, some yam. But right now, we have even farmers cooperative that we get our raw materials from. So we're very sure of the source, because again, the source is very important. When you just walk into the market to just buy ingredients, you're not sure of the source, you're not sure of how the seller got about it. But right now, when we buy from cooperatives like our orange flesh sweet potatoes, we buy from farmers who have been trained by non-governmental organizations, nutrition organizations such as Harvest Plus, such as Gain. So we have farmers who produce this, and we offtake from them, and then they are happy that this amazing food is made from the crops that they. A cumulative number of over 200,000 families have been inspired by August Secrets, not just buying the cereals, but also being inspired. I mean, the whole value chain is a big achievement for us, because farmers now know what orange flesh sweet potatoes can be used for. We have various products that are made with amazing crops that are all homegrown and simply just dried, mixed, and packaged for babies.
Their products can be found in stores across 20 states in Nigeria, Ghana, UK, and the US. And Tony hopes to reach even more women with healthy food options for their kids.
The vision for August Secrets in the nearest future is actually to reach as many African families with this food. The vision for August Secrets is to be a household name when it comes to optimal, innovative, delicious nutrition. Starting from pregnancy to breastfeeding, everything in the value chain of supporting mothers to give children the best of nutrition. Right now, we hope to have our state-of-the-art facility that would be able to produce even more and more. We'll be able to employ more people. Imagine if more farmers, have their products be made into amazing, foods for children.
All thanks to Tony, up to 200,000 babies have converted from fussy eaters to healthy foodies. And with their plans to expand to other African cities, August Secrets is on track to drive down child malnutrition statistics in Africa. My mom hasn't stopped speaking about how much of a fussy eater I was as a child, and it's a relief to know that with August Secrets, ladies like me wouldn't have such stories to tell. And talking about stories, this next entrepreneur has a lot to say about what inspired her to get in the business of saving lives, and that's by connecting blood banks and people in dire need of it.
A mom gives birth and then she starts bleeding, and within a couple of hours she's dead. It's really a big problem. It's a global problem. It's not a Nigerian thing or an African thing. It's a problem that occurs all over the world. And actually women everywhere have postpartum hemorrhage, but women in the West, meaning developed countries that are very rich, countries with excellent infrastructure, don't die from it. My name is Temigiwa Tobosun, and I'm the founder and CEO of LifeBank.
When a woman dies from childbirth, it's most likely due to postpartum hemorrhage or PPH. PPH is the medical term for an excessive bleeding disorder that occurs after a woman is delivered of a baby. In developing countries like Nigeria, where access to quality medical care is limited, over 800 of 100,000 mothers die while giving life. These shocking statistics and personal experiences are why Temigiwa Tobosun founded LifeBank in 2015, a healthcare startup that's been saving lives using technology and logistics.
A mom gives birth and then she starts bleeding. And within a couple of hours, she's dead. It's really, really a big problem. It's a global problem. It's not a Nigerian thing or an African thing. It's a problem that occurs all over the world. And actually, women everywhere have postpartum hemorrhage, but women in the West, meaning developed countries, countries that are very rich, countries with excellent infrastructure, don't die from it. But women in countries and cities and areas with no infrastructure, usually in developing countries, in low to middle income countries, countries without infrastructure, often die from it. And the majority of women die from this. Majority of women who die from childbirth die from postpartum hemorrhage. So it's a really big problem. It's a problem that death occurs really quickly. So other conditions that kill someone in childbirth could take between 6 to 7 hours, about 7 hours to 24 hours before a woman actually dies from it. But postpartum hemorrhage can occur within 2 hours, within 25 minutes and 2 hours. And she bleeds to death. We met a lady who had been in labor for a few hours and was waiting, needed critical C-section and couldn't get access to it. It was this incident in Kano, like a village outside Kano, that got me thinking seriously about healthcare. So that was incident one. The second incident was, throughout this, after this incident, I went back to the US, finished my master's, went to work at WHO, worked at UNDP, worked at a hospital in the US, then moved back home, worked in Lagos State, then I had a baby. It was this, so I always cared, all of these things that I mentioned, I always cared about maternal health care. But it wasn't like, it was a very big passion, it was a big part of my life. I did healthcare because of this passion, but it wasn't something that was personal, because I just saw something that I felt was really horrible, but it wasn't something that was personal to me. Until I had my boy. My boy is 5 years old now, and it was a very difficult birth. And funny enough, the same issue I had, a breech, was exactly the issue the lady we met in Kano had. And that was what got me thinking seriously about maternal health care. I mean, I always thought seriously, but that made it even more personal. I was very lucky to have access to excellent healthcare in the US, where I was born, where my parents live. And I came back to Nigeria again, moved back, and knew that I was gonna try to do something actively. So it wasn't gonna be passive, it wasn't gonna be just building a good system. That's important, but I wanted to work directly to actually rescue women in childbirth.
Her next steps were intensive research about PPH and pitching her idea of a healthcare logistics company to investors and hospitals.
One of the things I did earlier on was focus on Nigerian investors instead of, say, foreign investors. And I think the reason why I chose Nigerian investors is because this is a problem they could understand. A lot of people outside Nigeria can't understand, or outside developing countries can't understand how a system like this could be needed, yeah. But every Nigerian knows of a story of somebody looking for blood, somebody dying because of blood not being available. So I really focus on that. For me, I think that to convince hospitals was actually also pretty easy, mainly because they knew the problem already existed. You know, they're the ones who get to write death certificates for these women. You know, they know the cost of not having this system. So it was really easy to convince them.
Fortunately, she received pre-seed funding of $25,000 from an angel investor, which she used to build the LifeBank app. Now leveraging on technology, LifeBank compiles data from blood banks in Nigeria. And when there's a patient in need of blood, like a woman suffering from PPH, the hospitals contact LifeBank and get it delivered in just 55 minutes.
So someone needs blood, you know, first, before she needs blood or he needs blood, we already have inventory information from blood banks. So every day blood banks tell us the stock they have, you know. So this blood bank says I have 10 bags of O negative, and this one says I have 2 bags of AB positive. So we have all the information, the data. So the first thing, we call our system the 4Ds. First thing is the data, then the discovery. So then hospital will either call in to our call center or use our USSD code or use our app to tell us what they need. Then we match their demand to the data that we already have. Then we deliver using motorcycles or boat to some river. We use boats in some riverine communities in Lagos. And then, you know, we charge for a fee to deliver. And finally, we connect donors to blood banks.
Even though Nigeria needs up to 2 million units of blood per year for urgent transfusions, experts say the country's blood transfusion service collects only 500,000 pints of blood annually, indicating a blood collection shortage of about 80%. LifeBank has also stepped in here by making blood drives fun for donors.
In terms of getting donors to commit to give blood, I think for the most part, people are willing, right? Nigerians are pretty giving, generally. And what was missing was people to make it easy and fun. And that's what we've been able to do. We've been able to gamify it, you know, make people really excited about what we're building. And that's been really, really great. We don't pay our donors. Our donors have to be voluntary, 100% voluntary. We do give small rewards, like, you know, something, you know, free co-working space, you know, free manicure, that sort of thing. But there's very small non-monetary rewards. Of course, there are other people who do sell their blood. About 60% of all the blood in Nigeria is from paid donors. But we don't do that. We rely completely on voluntary blood donors and link them to our blood bank partners.
They also have a trust called BOAT by LifeBank. The trust pools funds from private investors and covers medical expenses for indigent people.
There was a young lady who lived in a very poor community, and she had a problem with a pregnancy. And you know, she was about 19 years old. She needed about 12 bags of blood, some medicine, and really expensive medicine. And without this, she would die. And I remember the doctor kept asking, then we'll bring, ask, we'll bring, ask, we'll bring. And of course, she couldn't afford this many bags of blood. So we were able to have a product that helped us pay for it, which we call BOAT by LifeBank, which allows us to serve people who are really absolutely poor when their doctors recommend to us that they are really poor. So we gather capital from private companies, and that allows us to pay for these services. So for us, it's really, really important. That story really shows what LifeBank is about: rescuing people from sudden death, and 2, delivering critical supplies. And our impact, not only did we save our life, but the only way we were able to save our life with that many bags of blood is if we had our platform called BOAT available. Without that, she would have died.
Temi's giant strides in healthcare has now earned her worldwide recognition. In 2019, Lifebank emerged winner of the inaugural Africa Netpreneur Award by the Jack Ma Foundation, an award fiercely contested by over 10,000 startups across Africa.
We're really excited to have won. There were 10 contestants, and we were the first of the 10. They were really amazing people. Actually, first there was I think over 10,000 applications, and then they whittled down the 10 to the 100, and then from the 100 to 50, from 50 to 20, to 20 to 10, and from that 10 to 1, which was me and Lifebank. So that was incredibly gratifying and really amazing for us and the team to just see. We've always thought, at Lifebank, we think we're really great already. We love what we do. We are excellent and passionate and relentless. But it was really important to have external validation. And then the money was good as well. So the award, is going to go to help us grow this business. We want to expand to multiple other cities.
From a sole proprietorship in 2015, Temi's Lifebank now employs nearly 70 people. But they're growing not only in numbers. Lifebank is also improving the quality of its services with the introduction of new products like SmartBag, a feature that uses blockchain technology to monitor blood data. I'm sure you would agree with me that health is truly wealth, and that's why I was especially appreciating these women whose incredible contributions are impacting thousands of lives. And thanks to you too for watching. Do join us in Startups again next week on TV360 Nigeria. Bye for now.